Sokka is a young man that is introduced to the viewer as a headstrong and misguided individual. Left as the only boy in his tribe at a young age, he felt as if he had to fill his father's shoes as a warrior and leader. This image he had of his father and his want to be a leader led to multiple issues he had to face throughout the series. Things such as a lack of self-confidence and sexism are extremely prevalent in his character, and as he learns more about the world around him, he finds people to look up to improve himself. These people and lessons help Sokka grow into a respectable leader and young man by the time the show comes to an end. His journey with Team Avatar was an essential part of his life that needed to happen for him to become the person he wanted to be. When Team Avatar arrives at Kiyoshi Island, they are ambushed by a strong group of female warriors. While a detail like this might not be a big deal to most, for Sokka it was inconceivable. Not only was he overcome by a warrior who didn't utilize bending, he was beaten by a woman. He even proves this fact when the Kiyoshi warriors remove his face covering.
Who are you? Where are the men who ambushed us?
There were no men. We ambushed you. Now tell us, who are you and what are you doing here?
Wait a second, there's no way a bunch of girls took us down.
This shows that Sokka can't fathom being weaker than a girl. However, I think this mindset serves as a valuable stepping stone towards his growth as a leader. At first, he views people through a narrow lens. Things such as gender, size, and stature are what he uses to determine a person's abilities. Even after being easily captured by the Kiyoshi warriors, Sokka believes he is still stronger.
Sorry, ladies, didn't mean to interrupt your dance lesson. I was just looking for somewhere to get a little workout.
Well, you're in the right place. Sorry about yesterday. I didn't know you were friends with the Avatar.
It's alright. I mean, normally I'd hold a grudge, but seeing as you guys are a bunch of girls, I'll make an exception.
I should hope so. A big, strong man like you, we wouldn't stand a chance.
True, but don't feel bad. After all, I'm the best warrior in my village.
The embarrassing performance he put up against Suki serves as a wake-up call to Sokka. He comes to the realization that the Kiyoshi warriors are strong people and that his view of them was wrong. This realization leads to him apologizing to them and even wanting to learn their style of combat.
Hey, Suki.
Hoping for another dance lesson?
No, well, let me explain.
Spit it out. What do you want?
I would be honored if you would teach me.
Even if I'm a girl?
I'm sorry if I insulted you earlier. I was wrong.
Not only is this apology important in making up to the Kiyoshi warriors, it is essential for Sokka. It is the first time in the series where he has to swallow his pride and accept that he isn't the best warrior that there is. This mindset was a direct result of being the only man left in his village after the Fire Nation raid on the southern water colonies. Sokka was left to develop his own definition of a warrior, and that is what led to his misguided view of the Kiyoshi warriors. That is one of the reasons his encounter with them is so important. He learns that there is no one thing that defines a warrior. Things like gender and strength aren't the only things that can make someone strong. With enough training and determination, any one person can become a warrior. This idea is essential for Sokka. As a leader, he needs to be capable of seeing everyone's potential and what they bring to the table. Losing the closed-mindedness he had allows him to see the world in a much different light. It teaches him to never underestimate what his opponents can do, and likewise never underestimate what his allies can do. His meeting with the Kiyoshi warriors, and more specifically Suki, didn't just teach him the value of recognizing the strength within everyone, it also taught him to be humble, to accept that he is wrong and that he can learn from others. This newfound humbleness doesn't only benefit his leadership abilities. Later in the show, it is the reason he is able to get combat lessons with the Swordmaster Piandao.
Well, actually, I've been all over the world.
Yep, here we go.
And I know one thing for sure. I have a lot to learn.
You're not doing a very good job of selling yourself.
I know. Your butler told me that when I met you, I would have to prove my worth. But the truth is, I don't know if I am worthy.
This speech is night and day to the one he gave Suki and the Kiyoshi warriors. At the start of the show, he walks up to them boasting about being the strongest warrior in his tribe. But when he talks to Piandao, he applies the lessons he learned from Suki to show he isn't sure of his own potential and has a lot to learn. In the past, he likely would have been like the other warriors that Piandao was referencing, but because of the Kiyoshi warriors, he learned the importance of humility. Suki was an essential character for Sokka to meet on his journey with the Avatar. The valuable lessons he learns from her helps guide him on the path of becoming a leader that his father would be proud of. While Sokka learned to be confident in others' abilities and see the potential they have, he struggles to apply this lesson to himself. The biggest example of this is shown in the episode Sokka's Master. The episode begins with a massive fire being put out by Team Avatar. It seems that everyone pitches in, but Sokka has little to no impact on the events unfolding. This leads to Sokka having a feeling of not providing anything valuable to Team Avatar, but as we will learn throughout the episode, this fact is not true.
What should we do today?
I'm tapped out. I already picked my toes. Twice.
Twice?
The first time's for cleaning, but the second time's just for the sweet picking sensation.
Sokka's been in charge of the schedule. I'm not sure what we should be doing.
While a small scene at first glance, the impact it provides in my opinion is huge. It shows that not even a day without Sokka, they are struggling to figure out what they can do. 3 powerful benders are all clueless. Sokka may seem like he is just a regular guy among powerful people, but the things he provides to the group are essential and fully display more of Sokka's leadership potential. Despite being weaker than all of them, he has been put into a role of leadership. His mind and guidance gives Team Avatar the direction they need to push forward. Without him, the progress they make throughout their journey would be greatly hindered. Aside from that small scene, the entire episode is essential in Sokka's development. While the episode itself serves as a way to give Sokka a useful skill in battle, the idea of the episode is entirely different. It is supposed to show us that even when Sokka lacks skills and strengths in the face of an enemy, he is able to use his mind to even the playing field. Piandao and Sokka's fight puts this on perfect display.
Excellent! Using your superior agility against an older opponent. Smart. Good use of terrain, fighting from the high ground. Yes! Use your surroundings. Make them fight for you. Very resourceful.
None of these compliments go towards Sokka's ability with the sword. Rather, they point out the way he utilizes his blade and environment to give him advantages against a much better swordsman than himself. This shows the audience that Sokka's strengths don't lie within his physical abilities, but rather the mind he has. His creativity and agile thinking make him an excellent swordsman who is able to find every advantage he can within a situation. While this lesson may make him an excellent swordsman, it also further strengthens him as a leader. As a leader, Sokka must be able to adapt and recognize the advantages and disadvantages within a scenario at an instant. Piandao helps Sokka fully realize this strength of his. Without him, Sokka would have continued to believe he didn't provide anything to Team Avatar, and as a result, wouldn't have been able to grow into the leader he wanted to become. The raid of Blacksun is one of the most climactic moments in the show, a massive turning point for Team Avatar, but also an important time for Sokka. The raid is his masterpiece, a plan made by him to put an end to the 100-year war once and for all. If he was able to do this, then his legacy as a great leader would be solidified. Not only this, but the allies gathered was another extension of his masterpiece. Every single aspect of this plan was his. In his mind, failure wasn't an option. However, his first challenge wasn't on the battlefield, rather it was presenting the plan to his allies.
Let me start at the beginning. Katara and I discovered Aang frozen in an iceberg. Now, I didn't like Aang at first, but I grew to love him over time. Then we went to the Southern Air Temple where Aang used to live, and then we met Suki, who's a Kiyoshi warrior. She dressed me like a woman,
When he
and then
says
she kissed me.
beginning,
And then
he
Aang's
means the
friend was a crazy old king,
beginning.
and then Katara got her.
He took this screw up to heart. Sitting down, he felt disappointed from how things had gone in that exact moment. He believed that was his moment to shine, the chance he had to prove himself to everyone that he had what it took to be a great leader like his dad. However, Aang goes to tell him some of the most valuable advice he could have heard after that moment.
That speech wasn't your moment of truth. That was just public speaking, and nobody's really good at that.
My dad is. He explained the plan perfectly and inspired everyone. Like a real leader should.
Look, your moment of truth isn't going to be in front of some map. It's going to be out there on the battlefield.
This scene displays that he believed he had missed the chance and shown he couldn't be a leader, but Aang shows him that great leaders aren't made in front of a map, but rather in the heat of battle. Aang made sure to emphasize that Sokka's moment of truth hadn't occurred yet. The things that Aang said here proved to provide a massive impact to Sokka as the invasion went on. The first example of this is when their invasion began. Sokka's invention for an underwater vessel allowed them to get past the fiery gates in front of them. While he didn't make the submarine itself, his innovation sparked a key component to their raid early on. While this doesn't express a direct leadership quality and isn't the moment Aang was referring to, I believe this moment further displays the creativity that makes Sokka's mind such a useful tool. After they had traveled to the shore using Sokka's invention, the raid officially began. It was a strong start that saw both sides clashing. Shortly after the arrival, Sokka's dad said they needed to take down the Fire Nation's battlements to tip the balance in their favor. Split up, which ended in Sokka's dad getting injured and leaving him unable to battle. This leads to a valuable scene and the moment Aang was talking about.
I'll do it.
No offense, Sokka, but you're not exactly Mr. Healing Hands.
No. I'll lead the invasion force.
Don't be crazy, Sokka.
Maybe I am a little crazy, but the eclipse is about to start, and we need to be up that volcano by the time it does.
This shows Sokka taking initiative as a leader. Seeing his father unable to fight leads him to deciding to take the reins for him. This is because the eclipse will begin shortly, and if he doesn't, the plan will fall apart. Not only does he take charge of the raid, but he does so from the front lines. He leads by example. He is the one responsible for his soldiers, and as such has to lead them headfirst into any danger. If he isn't willing to do something himself, then no one should. This shows he cares about the ones he leads and doesn't want to make them charge headfirst into bad situations. Sokka follows the belief that if someone falls at the hands of his leadership, it should be him. This quality is extremely powerful. It inspires those around them and further proves why they are respected as a leader. He even further proves he cares about those he leads when Aang finds out the entire palace city is abandoned and Fire Lord Ozai is nowhere to be found. When this information is shared with Katara, Sokka, and Hakoda, two main ideas are brought up. Sokka is given the choice to use the remaining time to retreat or continue to push forward despite the potential of falling into a trap, but rather than making the choice himself, he allows Aang to choose. Sokka is well aware that at this moment in time, the person this raid affects the most is Aang. Letting him make the call here shows he is aware of this fact and wants what's best for him. Later on, Sokka continues to show an excellent balance of making calls himself and when to consider what others are feeling.
I guess you guys are right.
You'll have another chance. I know you will.
This scene perfectly shows that Sokka always leads with others' best interest at heart. He understood how badly Aang wanted to finish things during that raid, but chose to talk him out of fighting him. He looked out for Aang's safety. He even tells Aang that he will get another chance. I think this is reminiscent of Aang's speech to Sokka. Since Sokka took Aang's advice, he found the moment he was able to prove himself. He was able to shine bright when he was needed most. That was the point of Sokka's intervention. He wanted Aang to know that, like him, he would get his moment to shine, his moment to end this 100-year war once and for all. His growth as a leader in this part of the show is impressive and was in large part because of Aang and Hakoda. Without them, he wouldn't have learned the value of finding the right moment and leading by example. Sokka's air raid with Suki and Toph on the Fire Nation air fleet was a great showing of everything that he learned throughout his journey. First, he expresses his ability to trust his allies in situations where they are needed. He shows this by letting Toph use her metal bending to take over the airship's cockpit. This allows Sokka to show another one of his skills. His creativity helps him to create the plan of having all the Fire Nation troops on board go down to the airship's bomb bay. From here, Sokka opens the floor and drops all the Fire Nation troops into the ocean in one fell swoop. While a simple plan, his creative thinking gave him the quickest and easiest solution to getting rid of the remaining threats on the airship. His next showing of creative leadership comes with the plan of using the airship to slice across the rest of the fleet. This plan is extremely dangerous and puts his and everyone else's life at risk. This goes to show Sokka isn't afraid to put himself in a more dangerous situation than anyone else. He knows the dangers of his actions, but as a leader he must be willing to risk it all to save everyone else. The airship slice also goes to show Sokka using his environment to his advantage. There aren't many things they could use to harm any of the other airships, and this leads to Sokka figuring out the one weapon they do have. Even after the airship they are using goes down, Sokka continues to use his mind to find ways to stop the air fleet. One such example is when he tells Toph to metal bend the airship's rudder in order to make it hit the ship next to them. This allows them to take down 2 more ships, but also puts them in harm's way. This forces Sokka to get rid of his boomerang and sword to fend off the firebenders attacking them. This buys just enough time for Suki to save them. However, in this exact moment, it shows Sokka fighting to his very last breath to defend Toph and himself. His raid on the airships ended in a major success and helped show the audience how much he had learned on his journey with Team Avatar. The airship raid also shows Sokka expressing tremendous bravery. Putting his life on the line so many times shows he can lead no matter the dangers in front of him. The raid on the air fleet was a massive chain of events for Sokka that served to show the audience his growth as both a courageous warrior and leader. Everything Sokka learned throughout his journey was essential for his success. And if Sokka wasn't aware of it yet, it finally proves that what he provides to Team Avatar is essential in their success. The things he accomplished on the day of Sozin's comet couldn't have been accomplished by anyone besides a great leader. The Sokka we know from the start of the show and the end of the show is night and day. The difference between them are astonishing. His growth into a leader was perfect. His journey was one that taught him many important lessons and gave him a sense of self-worth that he lacked. However, his journey and growth couldn't have been accomplished without the support of so many other people. It serves to teach people that anyone is capable of providing valuable insight and knowledge that you can apply to your goals and aspirations. Sokka's open mind allowed him to meet and learn from some of the most important people in his life. Suki taught him humility, Hakoda taught him to lead by example and helped him become a warrior, Piandao showed Sokka the strengths of his creativity, and Aang taught him the value of patience and searching for the right moment. There are many other lessons taught to him from others throughout the show, and I believe that is perfect. It helps show that leaders aren't strong just because of their own position, values, and power. They are strong because they have so many people around them willing to further enhance what they know, and Sokka is the perfect embodiment of this. Without his friends and teachers, he wouldn't have become who he is. His journey shows everyone the importance of listening to others, the importance of accepting that you aren't always right, and the importance of applying those lessons within your own life. While Sokka's journey was about him becoming a leader, the lessons it teaches the viewers is so much more than that. It shows an ordinary person making a massive impact in a vast world full of powerful benders. It shows us that any one person can accomplish anything if they are willing to learn and accept the help of those around them. It shows the power of acknowledging one's weaknesses and growing from them. This is what makes Sokka such an amazing leader by the end of the show. With a bit of creative thinking and an open mind, Sokka was able to achieve his dreams despite the world around him. That is the point of Sokka's journey.